Well, hello there. Another episode to Finding Happiness, you guys. Well, welcome. This podcast has just been a blast. I mean, if you can learn it, if you can think of it, I probably have either conquered it or still learning it or it's conquered me. I don't know. But anyway, we are here. You guys are, those who are on video watching us, you're probably wondering who's the guy? Who is he? Where's Jamie? Well, like I said before, we're going to do some interviews and I am lucky and blessed enough to have this amazing guy
Oh,
named Chadrick Miller
yes.
here with me today. Chadwick, who likes to go by Chad, is a
Yeah.
licensed master social worker and a trauma competent family systems therapist that is EMDR trained. And I know what that means. Eye movement desensitization. Say it for me, Chad.
Desensitization and
Yeah.
reprocessing. I know
And
that's what it is.
reprocessing. I can
Right.
say the reprocessing word, the desensitization. I knew I was going to mess up on. So I was ready for you to jump in and
You
help
had
me
it.
today.
Yeah.
It is all about happiness. So hey, I'm going to stumble over words. You help me with that, and we'll keep
Perfect.
it moving.
We got it.
Okay, more about Chad. He is an intuitive healer who brings warmth, balance, and insight into your therapeutic experience. In his non-judgment and strength-based approach, he values collaborating with each client, embracing healing from a holistic perspective, finding your successes in your journey. In his work, he values transparency, openness, I'm just kidding, openness and self-expression. He works with children, adolescents, and adults to provide an encouraging environment for his clients to learn more about themselves, how environment and systems influence thoughts and feelings, and finds the best parts of themselves that promotes growth and healing. So, everybody out there in podcast land, video cast land, we made up a word, Chad.
I like it.
Let's give Chad a round of applause. Well, thank you. Chad,
Thank
I'm
you.
so happy that you are here with us today.
Me too.
I really appreciate you saying yes. So thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for the invite. I'm
Oh,
really happy to
yeah.
be here.
My
Yeah.
pleasure. So we're going to get into it. It is so
Okay.
exciting to have a therapist, a professional with me in this space of happiness. So I'm going to ask you a few questions around happiness. If you're able to answer them, great, because we didn't do any pre anything, right? So,
Oh, I like it.
yeah, but I know you have something in your tool belt that you can share with us.
Well, I'll see what I can pull out.
Awesome! I'm excited. Okay, so my first question is I really personally want to know what is the science behind happiness? Like, I know it's an emotion, but can you give us a little bit about the science? Like, what, all the, I think there's types of endorphins and stuff like
Mm.
that. You know what I mean? So I don't know that stuff, but you do, I
Right.
bet. So.
Well, I guess, scientifically, it kind of depends on the level of serotonin, we have in our brains, as serotonin plays a role in all of that. But also, it's a little different for everyone.
Mhm.
And it's difficult to pinpoint, what happiness means. I mean, we
Hmm.
can get little bits of happiness by, doing certain things that provide instant gratification that can give us little burst dopamine in our brains to provide us that little burst of happiness, as we might interpret it. But I think the real, science, or just the natural way to obtain happiness, is to constantly work on, balancing
Mm.
your life and doing your best to stay grounded, and also understanding that it's okay not to always be there. We we've got all of these things like social media, and uh, you watch certain television shows, and happiness is portrayed in a certain way,
Mhm.
and those expectations can be kind of high. And so I think it's also important to give ourselves some grace, and understand that, happiness can kind of ebb and flow. And sometimes it can be difficult to be happy. And that's okay as well.
Right. That's so good. So I want to unpack a couple of things. You kind of unpacked not always being there. I totally agree with that.
Mhm. Right.
I'm big on the self time and self care, and just going into your own place of
Mhm.
retreat, so to speak, right? So I think that's awesome how you explained that not always being there. But let's unpack grounding. Like, what do you mean when you
Mhm.
say grounding?
Well, I think as far as being grounded, it means that you're in a place that's, I guess you could call your baseline, your healthy baseline, and that's when things are kind of in line for
Mhm.
you. Your mental wellness is in line, your physical health is in line, and your spiritual health
Yeah.
is in line. And that might be a little different again for each individual because we all come from different religious or spiritual backgrounds,
Mhm.
or maybe no religious or spiritual background, and that's okay. But we do need to incorporate what is important in our lives and make those balanced. Otherwise, we have these little things I call, energy leaks
Mhm.
where you may be more susceptible to giving in to impulses or you know depression, anxiety. But if we can work on being grounded and provide ourselves with a group of people that support us, we can obtain that sense of being grounded. So
That
we're
is,
not feeling like we're floating off into the universe, which can also be fun, but after a while, it can be a little detrimental to our overall health.
yeah, kind of chaotic, right?
You're
Like,
right. It can create chaos.
yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Oh wow. I love the phrase you used, energy leaks.
Hmm.
Like, I've never thought of it that way. And that's exactly, if you don't, like you said, you know, align things in your world, you will have those energy leaks, which will cause you to do that whole floating up, like you're just
Hmm.
floating around just
Right.
everywhere, and nothing's organized and it's chaotic, and your
Hmm.
life just spills out of control.
Right.
So grounding to me sounds like it's just really being the true authentic you in all of those
Mhm.
areas that you mentioned.
Sure.
I love it.
That's good.
I love that.
Mhm.
All right. So what techniques do you take your patients through? If someone comes in, I come into your office, and and I know it's probably different for different people depending on what
Mhm.
they're going through, but just in a general technique for that person that is, my particular niche is helping people grieve.
Mhm.
So you as a therapist, what techniques do you take people through to help them through their grief to get to that place of happiness and balance and all the things that
Mhm.
you've discussed?
Right. Well, first off, when someone comes to see me for the first time, it can be a little awkward for them, a little stressful, because they're walking into a room with a guy they've never seen before, they don't know anything about, and I'm asking them some very personal questions.
Hmm.
So in the beginning, it's really all about building trust and rapport while doing that assessment and evaluation. And then even after that initial intake where I do the evaluation and assessment, there's going to be sessions where we're going to continue to work on building trust and rapport and just kind of being where they're at and walking through them with them through that journey. But then we kind of go into whether or not they may just need cognitive behavioral therapy, which is kind of like talk therapy, like having a conversation and doing a lot of listening and developing coping skills and different things like that. Or
Hmm.
we may decide that we need to maybe pinpoint some disturbances that you have in your life. We all come from some type of, or we all have been through some type of trauma
Yeah.
in our life. And it affects us. I say this a lot. It affects us in different ways.
Yep.
But what we can do is, if an individual is open to it and they're in a place where they can go through it, is something like you had said before, EMDR, which is eye movement desensitization and reprocessing.
Mhm.
So what that does is it targets a memory that is disturbing, and usually we track it back to something way back in your childhood that has led to you experience it has led to you to experience guilt and shame in your adult life. So what EMDR can do is kind of take those negative cognitions we have about ourselves connected to that disturbing memory and
Mhm.
wipe them clean. So
Ooh.
you don't forget about the memory, but it doesn't have any negative cognition associated with it anymore. So,
Wow.
you're not going to forget it. It's not, hocus pocus. It's,
Right.
not, it's not voodoo, or it's not hypnotism. You're conscious or and awake the entire time, unless you're working with someone who dissociates, and then you might not be, but we do techniques that can kind of bring you back into the room.
Mhm.
But it can kind of wipe those clean to where now you have a positive cognition associated about yourself that you didn't have before, that that memory took away from you.
Wow.
And it was used in the beginning to treat individuals with PTSD, post traumatic stress disorder, and the military has adopted it, and we've partnered with them to help veterans who have experienced combat. So they come back and go through EMDR, and the success rate is really high, because with cognitive behavioral therapy, I'm going to get a little scientific here real quick.
Please do.
With cognitive behavioral therapy, it stimulates the frontal lobe, which is great. But with EMDR, it stimulates not only the frontal lobe, but both hemispheres of your brain. So basically your brain is lit up the entire time, and it's processing and healing during EMDR. And EMDR isn't really so much about going into your feelings and saying, tell me how that feels. It's mainly allowing your brain to heal itself through bilateral stimulation. So that can be like, I can show you a little bit about what that would be like. I can do it over Zoom even, but I'm just going to show you what a sample of what bilateral stimulation is. But it's just, I would put my fingers like this and you would follow them,
Mhm.
or I would have a light bar, or I would have TheraTappers to help stimulate your brain while we process that disturbing memory.
Oh.
So if you think of like when you're sleeping, like EMDR sleep, and or not EMDR sleep, REM sleep, and you have,
Okay. Okay. Is there
yeah,
a sleep in
sorry,
it
and you
too?
have rapid eye movement, right?
Uh-huh.
So that's basically your brain at night doing EMDR on itself to heal itself from the disturbing things you might have faced, like waiting in line too long or getting stuck in traffic.
Oh, and that's interesting as you say that, because that may be that is, for some people, that is disturbing, waiting in
Hmm.
line. And I
Right.
never, I wasn't even thinking. I'm thinking horrible traumatic
Uh-huh.
experiences. I'm like,
Right.
people have this every day, but yeah,
Hmm.
everyone's disturbance experiences are different, right?
Hmm.
So
Right.
I never thought of that that way. That is
Hmm.
very interesting.
Right.
Very interesting. So
And
it sounds like very fulfilling work too, as you
mhm.
see your patients and your clients, as you, because you're, I'm sure you're able to see the healing. You're able to see healing within
Mhm.
them by behaviors, by the way they speak. They come in one way, and towards the ending of your sessions, they leave a different
Mhm.
way.
Right.
So when they go through this particular technique with you,
Mhm.
and they get to you got I don't know if it's like 6 sessions that you do this in. So when they get to the end, do you send them home with activities to continue to do this, or is it really kind of like, wow, during your time together, the healing occurred and now they're good? So how does that look or work or
Well, so the sessions, the amount of sessions depends again on the individual. So there's no like set amount of sessions that we go through. It just kind of depends on the level of trauma,
okay?
how long it may take an individual to get through the entire EMDR process. But usually with EMDR, they start seeing or they start having relief from the trauma maybe even after the first session of having EMDR.
Okay.
And so what happens once we start getting into it, we also teach them relaxation techniques through EMDR, and we do quite a bit with them. So they become very familiar with them, like the spiral technique, the light stream technique, the container technique, the calm experience technique. So we do these with them in a lot of the sessions that they come in for, so they are able to remember it and use these coping strategies or these relaxation techniques on their own in case they have, because they're going to experience some type of stress after.
Hmm.
But if they can have those, it can help them get through it without maybe needing to come back to see me.
Wow.
That's the goal.
That yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
goal.
The full, true, on all encompass healing, right? Just and then
Right.
you're able to self heal if you do
Mhm.
happen to have another traumatic experience. Because as we live, like you said,
Mhm.
those traumatic experiences are bound to happen,
Right.
big or small. I mean, everyone's
Mhm.
experience is different. So
Right.
that's really
Exactly.
interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Goodness gracious. That's a lot. That's a lot
Yeah.
of I just want to take that in for a little bit. Like that's really, really good information. It makes me interested in maybe going down that path maybe one day. No, I'm not.
Mhm.
I'm just joking.
Well, no, I recommend it for anyone because I know I've talked
No, I
about people.
meant me to study it. I probably need to
Oh,
go come and see you. That's
no,
for sure.
no. Yes, study it. Definitely study it. No, to be honest with you, when I went through EMDR training,
Mhm.
we had to do EMDR on each other.
Oh, I bet.
And yeah, when I came back and got EMDR myself, because it's my belief that everyone can benefit through EMDR. So it would
I
be
agree.
pretty hypocritical of me to say, come see me for therapy, but I don't need therapy myself.
Right.
No,
I'm superhuman.
that's right. Right. Uh-huh. Yeah, exactly. Because
And what they say, like people, coaches, and therapists,
uh-huh.
we actually need the most therapy.
Right.
We're dealing with a lot, right?
Yeah,
That's
we're
what they
dealing with a
say.
lot. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So if you want, do it. It's amazing because it can, professional athletes do it
yeah.
to help with their level of confidence. People with depression do it. People with anxiety do it. So it's beneficial for anyone at any stage in their life.
Wow. Yeah. So I put you on this platform because, I want to help people, but I
Hmm.
think I may just help myself. I'm very curious, very interested in doing it. I'll be giving you a
Good.
call, sir.
Do it. Perfect.
So, my next question for you
Yes.
is what tips do you have for our audience to help find their happiness? Like you kind of gave some information on the
Hmm.
EMDR and things of that nature, but is there anything that, and you did say things about like, as far as when I asked about the techniques about grounding and balancing life, is there anything else that you can think of that can help our audience, maybe, someone's just like, I can't do coaching, I can't do therapy, but
Hmm.
what would you suggest that they do for themselves, you know
Well,
in
that's a good way with how you put it, like the nervousness or the fear of getting coaching or counseling, because
Mhm.
fear holds us back from doing a lot of things, and it can actually hold us back from things that we know that joy.
Mhm.
So what I encourage people to do is to do things that make them uncomfortable. I'm not talking about doing things that are unhealthy,
Yeah.
but I'm talking about tricking the brain. So being aware of your senses. And it can just be little things, like if you brush your teeth with your right hand, brushing your teeth with your left hand. So you're using both sides of your brain.
Ooh.
And what that does, it can open self and your brain to allow you yourself to be more vulnerable, so that you'll do things that you enjoy, or you'll do things that you know that you need, even though they might be a little uncomfortable or scary. So the only way the uncomfortable becomes comfortable is by doing the uncomfortable over and over again.
Right.
And then may be able to discover what truly brings you happiness, and also to understand that it may change over time. You know,
Right.
what might have worked for you yesterday might not work for you today. And that's okay. And what, provides me happiness may not provide you the same level of, joy it provides me.
Absolutely.
So just kind of do things that are a little outside of your comfort, if that makes sense.
It totally makes sense. Sorry, we're having a little bit of technical difficulty. It's
Okay.
lagging a little bit, so I apologize for that. But yeah, it totally makes sense. Doing things outside of your comfort zone. So I've heard this particular technique where people are taking cold showers.
Okay.
God bless them.
That's
I
uncomfortable. That sounds
Yeah,
really
that
good. Right.
sounds. But it's supposed to do something to your brain, and it's supposed to help you. Like you, it sounds like what you just said. Doing something that's uncomfortable to help change the way the brain thinks or
Right.
normally thinks or something. So I
Sure.
guess I need to do a little bit more study in that area, but I
Right.
chose not to because I can't be that uncomfortable. Cold shower.
That's free. That's, taking an ice cold showers. I haven't done it, so I don't know. Maybe I'm not doing enough uncomfortable things.
I know I'm not. I'll admit it.
Right.
I'm not. But I like what you said, about happiness, being different than what it was yesterday, so to speak,
Mhm.
or whatnot, because that's exactly where I am in my niche. A lot of people who are living with loss, they feel like happiness is gone. It's no
Mhm.
longer. It's not
Right.
obtainable anymore.
Mhm.
And I know for a fact because I was this way before I started going through my own program to get myself to the place that I'm at now. It's
Mhm.
because we are trying to stay in that happiness pre the passing of our loved one, right?
Mhm.
But
Right.
I like how you put it, finding happiness in your new norm is
Mhm.
so super important. And, working, and I bet this sounds to me, your program, the program that you're trying, EMDR, does it
Mhm.
right? EMDR?
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember. Um, would help us get there.
Mhm.
Those who, maybe have tried some things on their own or have tried other therapies,
Mhm.
services or whatnot. So I think that this EMDR is fantastic. I'm
It
really, really,
is. And I think it's also important to to talk about how, um, and this is my opinion, uh, about happiness. It's very marketable. There are so many self-help books out there on how to be happy, and we need
Mhm.
happiness. And so we have all of this hope for things that we want to accomplish, right? And
Right.
then when we don't accomplish those things, which is bound to happen because we're human beings and we fail at times,
Yeah.
then it just completely diminishes whatever shred of happiness that we had during that journey. So it's also important to acknowledge that, not every moment in our life is going to be a mountaintop experience.
Absolutely.
Um, when we are, we're individuals who have experienced trauma through EMDR, when they when they are going through it, they're not coming out elated or euphoric, or they're not, they're probably not super excited. They're calm and they're relaxed. They don't feel that anxiety, or they don't feel that guilt or shame or sadness associated with that disturbance. But there is just a sense of calm, a sense of balance. And I think that's also important to point out about happiness, because I think we put a lot of emphasis on it,
Mm-hmm.
and we make it difficult to obtain for people. So
Unpack that a little bit for me. Why, what do you mean by that? We make it difficult to obtain. Like, tell me your thoughts on that.
well, with happiness, it ebbs and flows, right? And I'd like to say that there's a way for you to be happy at all times in your life, but I just don't know if that's realistic. And I hope that doesn't sound depressing,
Yeah.
but at the same time, I think we need to get to a place in our world to where we just need to be okay with with um, with not being okay,
Need to be okay with our current state, no matter
with
what
being
that is.
right, with being at peace with where we're in our journey, and
I so
and
agree.
being joyful
Hmm.
is important, but also understanding that yeah, happiness uh, is a really good place to be,
Yeah.
but to put all of our expectations into it, rather, and I believe that we should rather focus on our strengths that
Hmm.
we all possess, and relying on those um, in any and being able to use that no matter what we face. And
I think that's super duper important. I love
mhm,
that, to focus on our strengths, because
right,
we're so, as human beings, we're so wired to keep trying to fix ourselves. You know,
right, yes,
and so, and to me, because I've been there trying to fix myself way
hmm,
too long, in my world, in my life, and I realized that was causing the worst depression, the
hmm,
worst sadness ever. I also like how you stated, just be in the now. Be
hmm,
Allow yourself to be, you know,
hmm, right,
and
just be,
just be, and
mhm,
allow yourself to be okay with just being.
right,
Um, my assistant Jamie, who you're very good friends with, she didn't
hmm,
even know this, but it was just yesterday. I think it was yesterday. I came into work, but before I came into work, I was having the hardest time, and I think I'm the happiest person I know, right? And so, but I was having a difficult time. I I just was sad. I was very sad. I was sad about things that are going on in the world. I was sad about, I had just spoke with a friend. I'll be 50 in November, so she's a high school friend of mine who's been diagnosed with early onset dementia or
hmm,
Alzheimer's.
hmm,
And so I was just sad. I was having a moment, but I let myself be,
good, good,
because my whole thing is, I can't teach people and help people find their happiness and get to
hmm,
that place if I'm going to fake it. I
hmm,
have to actually allow myself to be sad about
right,
whatever that thing is going on in my
hmm,
world at that time. I have to allow myself to cry it out.
right,
That's how I deal with
good,
everything. If I'm happy, I'm crying. If I'm sad, I'm crying. I'm just
all
crying.
right,
I'm a cry
good
baby.
for you.
So, but I let myself feel that pain in my chest, and
Hmm,
I let myself breathe through it and hurt through it, and then I let myself get out the car, get the fresh air, and I felt better. And
hmm,
I had realized, like in my 20s and 30s, I would stuff that thing. I would not deal with that. There was no way I could let anyone see me sad. That's not allowed in my world. You
Right.
know, in my
Right.
20s and 30s, I
Uh-huh.
felt that way.
Mhm.
And I was just, it was kind of refreshing. I was like, isn't this ironic? We're about to talk to the therapist. And I just kind of had a moment, you know. So I was like,
Good for you.
this is a good story to add, you know,
Yeah.
if it comes up, and I'm glad it did. But
Mhm.
yeah, we just have to be. Because have you heard of, I haven't studied this, you know. I don't do much
Mhm.
studying, as you can tell, about toxic happiness, or is there something called, I think I may be saying it wrong. Toxic toxic positivity, I think is what it's
Oh,
called.
okay.
Never mind. Yeah,
Mhm.
so never mind. Another
Toxic
topic.
positivity.
Huh?
What does that relate to?
So it's like what I, you know, because I kind of associate happiness and positivity together, even though they're kind of two their
Mhm.
own thing. But you
Right.
know, I associate happy being positive and all that. Well, toxic positivity is you're just always positive and never being real with yourself.
Right.
Because
That's
it's the
toxic.
same way with the what
Mhm.
you just said about happiness, right?
Right.
It's not always great things going on.
Right.
You know what I mean? And if
Mhm.
you're going to ignore what you're truly feeling, and because it's a negative feeling, then that's unhealthy.
Right.
It
It's
causes
not
toxic.
real.
Yeah.
It's
So,
toxic. It's
yeah,
toxic, you know,
very
and
toxic.
I think it's important to practice recognizing emotions as just emotions.
Hmm.
You know, we like to think of, you know, sadness or nervousness as something as negative,
But it's
but we experience them for a reason. It's the universe trying to tell us something.
exactly.
So, like what you were able to sit in it and be okay with it and allow it to flow through your body and
Mhm.
allow yourself to learn what you needed to do to get past it.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
So there are no such things as negative emotions. They're just emotions.
Oh, like, oh my God, that's like another topic.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as negative emotions. They're just emotions.
Right.
I've never thought of it that way. Ever, Chad.
Right.
Now we're
Hmm.
gonna have to have you back on because I'm gonna have to unpack that.
There we go.
I love that though.
Yeah, it kind of gives us some. It gives even talking about it now. It gives me some peace.
It does. It is.
Knowing.
I just totally felt free from that statement.
Mhm. Yeah, good.
Because I mean, because what you just stated was, because you know we consider negativity something that we're not supposed to have, and that is
Mhm.
so bad and this and that. So when we have a negative emotion, so to
Right.
speak, and I'm
Hmm.
doing air
I
quotes for
hear.
those that
I got.
listening. I always forget, I'm so like with my hands.
Uh-huh.
But when we equate an emotion as being negative, then that puts us in that bad space, and it
Hmm.
kind of bounds you, right? But yeah,
Right.
emotions are just emotions. It's just
Right.
how do you deal with them in a healthy way?
Right. And in a lot of ways, that's what society has wanted us to do is to get bounded. So
Mhm.
then we need certain things to make us happy again, so we don't have to be bounded.
Yes,
But we
sir.
can make the choice to do something different.
You better say it. I love that. That is that's awesome. That's so good. Well, I've so enjoyed our time here together. I just, you know,
Yeah.
I know the listening audience is probably like, okay, he didn't gave us a lot of nuggets, and
Wrap
he
it
said
up, right?
to contact him. So, is
Oh,
there a
right.
way that you can, you know, give our how can our listeners contact you? Is there a website or?
Yeah, so I work for Embark Counseling Services,
Okay.
and I have an office located in Lenexa and the Northland. And oh, let's see. So I can give you the phone number. The
Okay.
phone number is 913-2. 877-573161. And I think it's just embarkcounselingservices.com, or you can just Google Embark Counseling Services. Sorry, I don't have our website right in front of me
That's
at the moment.
okay. We'll get all that
Um,
figured out and we'll add it to the description of this
Good.
podcast and all that fun stuff. So yeah, people will get to you if they need to.
Yeah, and I
You're
can give you my email address as well.
okay. What's your email?
It's C Miller, so CMLL at bark/counseling.com.
Perfect. So if you guys, I know it kind of chopped up a little bit. It's C Miller. That's CMILLER at bark counseling.com. Is it a dash?
Yeah, a dash. Uh-huh. Yes.
So yay, 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 yay. Well, again, Chad, I just want to thank you so much for taking the time out to, really educate me and our listening audience on happiness in the scientific world and the
Hmm.
the brain and all that amazing information and nuggets that you just gave us. I truly appreciate you.
No, you're welcome. Pleasure's all mine.
Well, thank you
It was
so
a lot of
much.
fun.
Say that again.
I
Sorry.
said it was a lot of fun.
I'm glad. Yay! That's what it's about.
That's right.
So audience, you'll see. Click on the links in the description, and let's connect with Chad.
Let's do it.
All right. So everyone, I want to thank you for listening this week. I asked you to have an amazing evening because these are recorded and put out there on Wednesday evening. So have a great Wednesday night and a fantastic tomorrow. And we will see you next week.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.